Well, good afternoon, everyone. And I know it's a stretch. It's our first live stream here on this channel on Retiree is Me, and I know it's probably going to be a stretch to get. Hopefully we only get. I mean, if the more the merrier. But if we get anybody watching, I know they're not expecting to see the live stream here on Retiree is Me, but welcome and. Good afternoon, everyone. Anybody who wants to pop in has an extra few moments. Thought I would join in and kind of start up a shorter live stream. I don't want to take too much of your time today. And it's been great. I've been doing the walk and talk and the coffee talk here with Retiree is Me. And I do appreciate anybody who wants to pop in and say hi. And it looks like we have 8 here online already. And good afternoon, everyone. Normally, this is actually the first live stream that I've done on this channel, and I just wanted to just welcome everybody, not just to the live stream, but as well to the channel. And I'm going to keep it very casual, informal. If anybody has any questions they want to drive down in that chat box down there, feel free to just ask away or comment away. If you like what I'm doing on the channel as a whole, if there's any recommendations or suggestions, I do want to get into a lot more depth, and I do want to talk a lot more. I have a lot of interesting planned out content here coming up in 2025. But like I said, if you have any questions, comments, again, I do welcome you to the first live stream for Retiree is Me. And ever since getting punted by the corporate world there back in I guess it would be the end of February. I can't say that I've ever really looked back other than, we reflect and we talk about some of the experiences, and that's part of the sort of the walk and talk. And I like to share, some of those things I've gone through and, the good and the bad and indifferent, if you will. But, you know what, maybe today, since we're just starting off new and again, new live stream, maybe I'll drop a couple nuggets, no real formal content today, just other than hi, and feel free to drop in a comment there if you like. But I just want to mention a few comments. I'm just going to walk through that right now. Hey, Pablo Hernandez. Hey, Mark. Right on. How's it going? I hope everything is going well for you today. Great to hear from you. And I don't know what it's like where you're at. You know what? I got to say, it is very snowy here right now. And for a lot of you that follow along and watch the channel, then you can appreciate that we sure get our 4 seasons here and hard. And today is another snowy. We had actually last night, we had some pretty big snowfall. We probably got close to a foot of snow. And I was out there shoveling last night at, 11, 12 o'clock at night, just so it wouldn't be so tough this morning. Because, as you know, my wife still works, so I wanted to make it so that it was at least, easier for her to get out. But you know what? I thought I would just go through a couple comments, and again, feel free to drop a line there, anyone. Let's just see here. We have a comment from Dave Nelson, and pardon the glass. I probably should be using glasses. Hey, Pablo, I am in Southern California. Fire County, yikes, friend, hanging in there. Yeah, I hope you're doing well there, Pablo. Yeah, I mean, that's terrifying what's going on in California there, especially on the PCA, Pacific Coast, or PCH. I've been down those parts a lot, and we try to go there at least once a year. And to me, we talk about travels, and, I like to travel a little bit, and California is just a spot that I adore. I love California. I love the hills and the mountains and the ocean view. And I just love California with a passion. It's tragic to see that stuff. Every year it seems to be something, whether it's flash floods, fires, it's something, right? But hopefully that kind of gets sorted out. There's no amount of, it's a tough one. There's no doubt about it. And I feel for everybody. And it's not just movie stars. I know there's all kinds of people that are impacted by that. And some wealthy, some not as much. The bottom line is it's tragedy at any level, because we're all humans, and you know what? It's a human nature thing, and nobody likes to experience loss. So thanks for Pablo. Our Wally says, great videos, watching them from Fort Myers on the walks. Right on. Well, thanks, our Wally. Yeah, and it's great to have you. And Michael Berna, you know what? Berdanaro, I want to say. I know he's somewhere down in those parts. I don't know exactly where, but he does a lot of those walk and talks too. Tony Hall. Hey, Mark from the UK. Hey, welcome, Tony. Great to hear from you for sure. Have you ever thought about moving to a warmer, drier climate? Oh, have I ever? With family, with 4 kids, I'm guessing it's a bit hard. It is a bit tough. I've asked my kids, I've asked my wife. We've had these conversations, and I've mentioned this previous to in different places. My wife's Portuguese. I don't know if you can see right there. There, see Greta. So you can see my wife's name, Greta. It's tucked behind that sign right there. Uh, Greta, and that's Portugal. So she's actually from the Azores, which is little islands off of the in the middle of the Atlantic, and we've been there a few times. And I've been to a few parts of Europe as well. I adore Europe. I love the States. I love anywhere that if you don't have to plug in your car because it's too cold, that's yeah, I can appreciate that. Tony, I have thought about it. Kids are not in favor of it. My wife's sort of on the fence. I think they all like warmer weather, but when it push come to shove, whether they want to move, I don't know. Pablo, Jasper was pretty bad, unfortunately. Yeah, it was, Pablo. Thanks for that. You betcha. It was actually quite devastating there too, and in a different way. See, because you don't have the population there, but you have a lot of wildlife. We know Jasper's a popular place, and we like to go there regularly too. There's a little place up in the hills there. You go in the Jasper, and then you head kind of north. In the back side of Jasper, Pacific Patricia Cabins, and yeah, there's a couple little lakes up in the hills there that are they are gems, and it's tragic, yeah, when that stuff burns like that, and it's too bad, but we will recover, and there's always onward and upward, and I like to think that in 100 years looking back, you'll never know what happened. So um see, Tony, yeah, thumbs up, right on. And yeah, it's a pretty tragic time when anybody's impacted or anything. It changes the landscape of a lot of where we come from and that, right? So um Steven Nelson's, or sorry, Dave Nelson, I apologize there. Dave Nelson dropped a comment on today's video. Says, "Wow, you have a great attitude. Mine sucks. Laugh out loud. I would like to have a good attitude. It's just not at this time reveled itself. But yesterday, I felt a small glimmer, but then it burned out. Back to running down a dream. Last night I saw the Grim Reaper. I bumped into him while I was getting a snack. 2:34 a.m. We didn't talk." I don't know, Dave. Yeah, that's a tough one. You know what? Sorry, certainly to hear about that. Nobody wants to meet the Grim Reaper. I think at some level we all kind of do. Uh, you know what? Keep your chin up. You know what? I can definitely attest, and I don't know what you're going through, certainly, but I can relate in some regard. And again, the human element. We all have those days. We all have good days, bad days, ugly days. I know I've had a struggle this year. A lot of you have had struggles this year, maybe last year. Even since 2020, I feel like we've all sort of leveled the playing field, and everybody's felt some struggle um, at different times in life. But keep the chin up, and you know what? There's always tomorrow, and there's always a glimmer of hope in that. So, Pablo, Mark, I am trying to get up to Alberta to do a little skiing. Any recommendations, friend? Um, yeah, Pablo, you know what? There are a lot of great ski spots. I mean, if it depends where you're saying Alberta, I would say probably, I mean, I'm in Edmonton. If you are, looking to do that and you want to make maybe maybe a weekend out of it or do some visiting, I'm in Edmonton, a little further north. About 4.5 hours west is Jasper, which unfortunately they really only they have a Silver Summit, which is by Edson, that's a couple hours out, and then Jasper, which is a great ski hill. But honestly, if you're going to go skiing in Alberta, go all the way to Calgary, or well, Calgary's first. So if you're coming from the south, you're going to hit Calgary first. Stay in Calgary. Then you're only about an hour and a half to Banff, and you've got a lot of great spots. A lot, like there's a lot of good skiing around there. Mount Norquay's more advanced skiing. That's right outside of Banff. Mount Norquay, depends if you're an advanced skier, that's a tricky one for you. Um, a lot of moguls, very steep runs, very, more senior kind of skiing. Lake Louise is my favorite. It's got a good blend of some, seasoned runs, some simpler runs. You've got some blue, black diamond, you've got some green runs in there. Sunshine's a great spot as well, also by Banff, a little further out. The only thing with Sunshine, there's a couple of areas where you got to paddle. So you do ski on parts of it, and then you got to sort of paddle to get to other parts of the hill. So it's a little bit of you got to do a little bit of more skiing and hustling around there to kind of make use of the hill. I personally, like I said, I like Lake Louise, but they're all great spots. And I think you can't go too wrong, to be honest. There's a few good spots around there that you can go skiing. So go to Calgary. Then you have an option or some options for sure. So yeah, like I guess the thing that I want to drop in here is, and see if anybody had any recommendations and types of content. I do have some big ideas here, and doing it daily is challenging in the winter, as you can see, like climbing through the snow, and it's not even the snow so much as the ice, and then you get that wind, and I don't know, here in Alberta it seems like when it's rains it pours. Like when it's coming down and it's snowing and it's windy and you got 30-mile-an-hour winds, 40-mile-an-hour winds, and you've got snow blowing in your face, and you're trudging through foot and a half of snow, and there's ice underneath, and you're trying not to wipe out. It's a challenge, but I try to get out there because I like presenting content for you guys, but I also like to get out and walk and exercise. And, ever since I've been off, and that was, again, February, we're almost a year out now. We're actually about almost a year. We're coming in actually fast and furious, really. We're about a month out. We're 11 months in, I guess, right? Since when I got my walking papers. And with that, I kind of vowed that I'm going to look after myself. I'm going to walk more, hike more, do more exercise, get more physically fit. I still eat some crappy food. We all do sometimes, but I try to, pay more attention to that. And, people have asked, like, looks like you lost some weight. I did. I lost probably, I was normally around a $190, $185, $190. I'm down now to about $165. So, I've lost 20 pounds or so, give or take, kind of depends on the day. Very intentional. Again, a lot of it was the hikes. I was doing 15,000 to 20,000 steps a day. Now I'm down to about 7,000 steps a day. Not quite as where I'd like to be, but hey, you know what? It's just with the snow and the ice, but we're going to ramp that up again once the kind of snow starts moving away and we start getting out there and put on those big walks. I love hiking. And I'm going to get an electric bike because I want to put some miles on this year. But yeah, just eating a little bit more of, I wouldn't say a carnivore diet, but certainly focused more on that side of it, eating more of those types of food and lots of walking. And that's kind of how I've gotten to where I'm at here today. But let's just see another comment here. And if anybody has anything they want to drop in, or any questions or any content that you guys would like to see, feel free. Don't be shy. Drop a line. I mean, the floor is yours too. I wish I could hear voices here. That'd be great. Pablo, nice. Thank you for the skiing information. You betcha. Anytime, Pablo, you want to reach out and for any information, skiing or otherwise, I'd certainly like to help out. I used to do a lot of skiing when I was younger. Kind of got, married, kids, and then started keeping closer to home. There's not really a lot of good skiing around Edmonton. There's a few of these short little hills, but you do like 3 or 4 quick backs and forths, and next thing you're at the bottom of the hill. So it's not really much of a ski. But yeah, you go up to like Lake Louise and those places, and they're amazing. And I skied a lot of those back in the day. Let's just see here. We have Patrick Shannon here asks me or mentions on today's video again. He says, nobody really knows if they can retire or anything. Nobody really knows. We aren't guaranteed tomorrow. That's 100%. And I don't want to focus on the morose. I don't want to focus on the negative. I want to focus on the positive. And I see this as a positive. I see this as this enlightenment, right? I'm not here to be religious. I'm not here to be, all kind of trying to be sublime and odd in that regard. I am trying to say, look, we do have limited numbers of days. Instead of focusing and a chin on the floor and getting kind of down in the dumpers. Let's say, look, I don't know how much time we have, but you know what? Let's make the best of it. Let's celebrate every day that we can. And you know what? I use my time to the fullest every single day. But he says, have to look up to the sky and thank God for everything you have. And if you don't believe in God, at least have something to look up to. And if that person is you or whatever it is, got to have something that keeps you motivated. And I do appreciate that, Patrick. And you know what? I do see that. And whether you're a believer in God or any of that, that's entirely up to you. I'm not a religious channel. I'm not here to promote that, nor turn any of that away, because I believe everybody has their faith and their beliefs, and I'm 100% behind that. But I do want to comment that if you're not doing it for that, do it for something, somebody, whether it's for your own personal self and well-being. And you know what? The way I see this, you know what? You all know I lost my parents here, my mother earlier this year. That was hard, and my dad back in 2021. And for me, that was really more of sort of that trigger, that trigger point. And they're the ones that now inspire me to do better and to, find more success in my own life, whether it's success through, living life, family success, enjoyment of life, and taking the focus away from, working for some mindless, soulless corporation, and focus more on doing things that I want to do. And I'm busy. I've talked about this too. I'm very, very busy doing the side hustle business. As you can see, I've got cameras, lights, I've got all kinds of gear here because I do have a lot of side hustle. I do a lot of YouTube stuff, and yeah, our Wally, sorry for your loss. Thanks there, our Wally. You betcha. No, I appreciate that. And we all have that loss that we deal with at some level. I mean, everybody goes through it, and it's not easy, but we all, we lean on those around us, hopefully, and not everybody has those around us, but know that there's always others that go through the same thing or similar or worse or what have you. And we all have our crosses to bear, right? So it's just something that we just have to work through and just know that we're doing it. Whatever we do, we should do it in celebration of life and our parents and our siblings or anybody that we may have lost that we miss. Do it on their behalf and find your success in your own way and celebrate it on their behalf. Angie H, hello. I enjoy your content. Very inspiring and honest. I'm here in California contemplating my retirement, but I do still want to work part-time just to feel busy. That's awesome there, Angie. I appreciate the support and the following. And I would agree with that. And for a lot of people, it's a struggle to say, look, I'm going to quit cold turkey. And it may not be cold turkey. It might be a part-time job. It might be like you see so many older people. I see it here working at, McDonald's, working at Walmart, working at Tim Hortons, working at all these places. We see a lot of older people getting these jobs, flower shops. It doesn't matter, working these jobs. And it doesn't have to be in any way, shape. And as a matter of fact, in many cases, it's even better if it's not related to the industry you were in, because it sort of brings a sort of a freshness. But I agree. Like if for me, I'm doing a side hustle. I don't have a job. I don't technically have a job. I don't have a boss. I do consider myself retired because I don't have a formal paycheck or a boss or any of that. I sort of take my time as I need it. But you know what? Part-time is fine because you don't have the stress. You don't have that they might say, oh, I need you to go do this. I need you to go do that. But those are short-term, like directions. And that's part of a job. You're getting paid, exchanging time for money. And part-time jobs are fine because you don't generally have that long chronic stress. You have more of that short-term, show up, do your 5 hours of work, go home, call it a day. And there's very little stress in that. And it is enough to get out there and mingle. And it's also a way to just sort of just be out there, right? And not feeling so isolated at home, because being at home alone can be very isolating. And for me, I don't like being that way either. And, I'm fortunate, I still have kids at home. They come and go school and work, and they're back and forth. And so I have a lot of that in my life right now. Once they all move out, it's going to be a different landscape. And so I totally get it, why you want to do part-time, and part-time can support both the busy and the people aspect, the networking, but also it can top up a little bit of extra money, and it adds a little bit of that security. If a person's like, well, I don't know, do I have enough? Do I have enough pension? Does Social Security? Do I have a 401k? Or in that case, do you have those things saved up to support and sustain that for the next 20, 30 years? And if not, who knows? Or maybe it's a bridge gap to get you from full time into where you're delaying your pension draw, and that way you can kind of maximize your pension and you can keep working and sort of transition. It's a great way to do it. So yeah, that's great. B says, enjoy your videos, lots of good thoughts and things to consider based on your comments and experiences. Keep the videos coming. Appreciate that. Jennifer Lee, be me. Hi, Mark. Great content. Love the positivity. And I really do appreciate that. And I try to bring positivity. There's so much negativity in the world. It's easy to go down that path, but I do want to focus primarily on the positive aspects of life. And specifically, we are talking about retirement, but I am going to talk a little bit as I build out into 25. I'm going to broaden the conversation a bit more to life, right? I mean, when you talk about impacts to cost of living, housing costs, food costs, inflation, these are all impacts to people that are retired, like myself, like any of you. And so those are very important topics. And it's not just about, okay, I quit the corporate job. Yay, this is great. There's more to it, and there's life, and we have to learn how to navigate life and through the cost of living and all of that. So I do plan to talk more on life and sort of expand on these conversations a bit, and I hope that helps. Retired 2019, hello. So I appreciate the channel as a retiree. Oh, welcome, and congrats on the retirement. That's awesome. It's great to hear that. And I know everybody's got their time. It's always got to work for everybody. That's why I don't put on any pressure. I don't tell anybody you've got to retire. I say personally, you just know life's short. Okay. You know what the numbers are, statistics. I share it with people. 65, 66 is kind of where people on average get really ill, kind of chronically so, unfortunately. And, life expectancy is somewhere in the mid 70s right now. If you look and Google it on Canada, the life expectancy is a little higher. I think those numbers are a little fudged. I think it depends how is the median or the average and just the way they calculate it. It's actually a formula. It's not actually taking everybody's age and just sort of adding it and divide by the number. There's a formulation, but honestly, I'm not a believer in that. What I've seen is realistically, we're more to mid to late 70s is what I see. I mean, look in the obituaries. I even use that as a bit of a guiding light. I don't focus on that, but I do once in a while. I find myself browsing and I see and you get that odd person that makes 92, but way less people don't. So without focusing on that, that's just a reality. Dwayne Allman, appreciate the content. I am close enough retirement, 55 this year. I am starting to think about retirement and what it may look like, especially looking at the pace and intensity of jobs. Yeah, Dwayne, I get it. You know what? The workplace is not what it used to be. There's no loyalty from corporate now. And if they love you, they love you. You'll know it. And if they don't love you, you'll know that too. And I was starting to feel it. So I get it. And that's the push, the hustle, the bustle. And I get it. If you can do it 100%. So that, I'm going to offer, in advance, congrats. If 55 is at your year, Freedom 55, I love it. It's perfect. So that's super. Let's just see what else we have here. Wally, I had 35 years in a carpenters union, had to retire at 57, worn out, had neck fused. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. That sounds tough. Wally, you betcha. I can appreciate that. I had an uncle who passed away quite young. And he was a carpenter. He built houses. He was a framer, basically framer, one house to the next, to the next, to the next. His knees were shot. His hips were shot. His neck was shot. He had a hard life. He drank hard too, and he lived a hard life. And unfortunately for him, because he lived a hard life, he didn't make it all that long. But I know what it's like because I helped a lot of those. I've built houses. um, kind of on a side hustles and side and doing some side work like that. I actually have another property out west of our city, a smaller place there I built a bunch of years ago, and I built it basically myself. I bought a cheap plot of land out there, and the only thing I hired was somebody to come in there and crib and pour the basement, and then basically I took it from there and I built the place myself. I did framing, I did siding, I did plumbing, electrical, flooring. I did all of that with these hands, and it was day and night, day and night, day and night. And I'd work the corporate job, then I'd race out there right after work, and I'd work on that house night and day, night and day, and I did that 7 days a week, and that wore me out. I felt pretty beat up after a couple of years, so I know what you mean. And carpentry's hard work. My dad was a carpenter as well, um, but he kind of transitioned more into superintendent roles, and so he was more of directing trades and that. But in a lot of his early years, he was a carpenter. One fun fact that I want to share about my dad: he was a carpenter for many years. Before that, he worked for CP, I think it was CP Rail, and he was on like building train tracks. He was originally a farmer, then moved to the big city, then got a job with the railway, and he was laying out a railway tie, and then those steel pegs, and then they had this pounder, and his pounder came by, and he was lining up, and somebody pulled the trigger, and bang, lost his finger, just basically chopped it off right at the base. So right until like even as a kid, seeing my dad with this nub right here. I mean, we always got a kick out of it. We always thought it was funny. But I'm sure at the time he wasn't finding it funny. He told us a story. He had to grab his belt and tie it around and kind of cinch it up to race off to the hospital. It was kind of a rough one there. But he lived a tough life, and yeah, those physical jobs are pretty demanding. And I have total respect. I did a lot of physical work in my days too, and I come from a family of farmers and tradespeople, and it's a tough job, tough careers, and hats off to everybody who does that. It's absolutely awesome. Pablo, Oilers are close to getting the Stanley Cup. I live in Orange County. Hey, we have family in Orange County as well. One of them he works for what is it? The CHIPS, basically, California Highway Patrol. He was telling me a story, and he's okay, and I'll continue on yours. And they beat down the Ducks, sorry, last year in Anaheim, California. I was there in that game. Great team in Edmonton, just like your pod. Appreciate it there, Pablo. That's great. You know what's funny? Two things. One, of course, well, with the Oilers, I mean, they're hit and miss, and McDavid, I mean, he's a great hockey player, but I truly believe you need a whole team to make it happen. But what do we got here? Anaheim, yeah, the CHIPS. I learned something. I didn't know this. I mean, here in Canada, everything's pretty strict. There's photo light cameras at every corner, and they're pretty strict on, law enforcement, speeding, red light cameras. They're like, it's on every corner. There's a real strong focus here on equalizing the playing field for people that drive dangerously and whatnot. But it was funny. One of our relatives is my wife's cousin, and he works for CHIPS. I guess he rides around on the motorbikes there on the California highways. And he's telling me, he says, it doesn't matter, speed limit 65 miles an hour on the freeway. If everybody's doing 85 miles an hour, you do 85 miles an hour. This is coming right from the cop. I thought that was just humorous that he had said that, but that's kind of the reality. If everybody's doing 50, you do 50. If everybody's doing 80, you do 80. But don't stand out as an outlier. I learned that piece, so that was kind of fun. Let's just see here. Jennifer here from Wisconsin. It's supposed to be to get to minus 10 Fahrenheit. Ooh, that sounds a little chilly. Ouch. Yeah, we have, Wisconsin, straight north. You've got, the Ontarios and all of that in Canada. I know they get their chilly weather too. Not like here, where we get minus 40. We don't have it now, but it can get pretty yucky here too sometimes. Our Wally, yes, I'm loving the retired life. That's good stuff, Wally. You earned it for sure. I'm single too, so that helps. Yeah, you know what? Nobody hounding you. You can just chill out and relax. I'm from Chippewa, Valley in Wisconsin, but Fort Myers until April. That's good stuff, man. Take it easy, take your time, and no rush. Dave Force, thanks for the content. How stressful was it for you to retire early? Well, Dave, it was a little stressful at first, and I think it was more of the shock. And there was a combination. My wife was a little more stressed out about it than I was, but a big part of it came from I think it was the shock of the job because I thought there was a chance that I could get my walk-in papers, and when it happened, it was shocking, but it wasn't for me, but it certainly was for my wife. Now, you know, I did have a little bit of a pension built up from the company. So there's that aspect of a little bit of a fallback. Okay. So I was fortunate enough to have a defined benefits pension. I have a little bit of a pension there. It's not a huge one. 16 years, you can kind of guesstimate what that looks like. But I have a bit of a pension. I've been putting away as well for mutual funds and RSPs here in Canada. We know CPPs coming in the 60s. And, I can see all the numbers, all the domino pieces are sort of falling into place, but still there's this gap, right? From 55 to whether I pull CPP at 60, 62, whatever that looks like, or pension, maybe draw the company pension at what, 55, 60, 65. There's still a bit of a gap. So there was naturally some stress and I think it was initial response, the stress, the unknowing, the abyss, if you will. But once we started sitting down with the bankers, the accountants, we started laying out a game plan, which I sort of built that, and I've been advancing that plan for years. We knew that retirements was inevitable, and I've talked about this, in a lot of videos where you have to be starting early. You have to be thinking about that in advance. And so when you're planning early and you're investing and you're saving and you're putting money away and you're reinvesting and you're putting all those building blocks in place early in life, then by the time you come later, you may or may not be ready for that getting fired or laid off. You may not be ready, like up here, but all those building blocks, the foundations are somewhat there. Then it's just a matter of like, okay, I've got a block here, I've got a block here, I've got a block here. Okay, now we just need to rejuggle and stack them accordingly. And that's kind of where I was at. So that's where the stress was realizing, okay, I had some foundation, I had some blocks. How do we organize these blocks? And so if that helps kind of put this in perspective, it was stressful at first, but we're good, and I do not regret an iota. I have people reaching out, friends, from that outside of the company, a couple people from inside of the company, random folks that said you can get another job. You've got great skill set. I love the high voltage world. I loved it. I find it fascinating, but I don't need to go back. I don't want to go back. I love the life I'm living right now. I'm busy. I'm productive. And as long as I'm not bored out of my tree, I'm going to keep on keeping on. So this is great. Let's see here. Pablo, I am 45 this month, and I'm meeting with my pension people as well. That's good stuff, Pablo. Get ahead of it. You're in a good spot. If you're 5 to 10 years out, start looking at those numbers. And I mean, earlier, start, like they say, start putting in your 401k early on, or your RSPs in Canada or whatever. Put your investments away. Start putting money away in your 20s and 30s. Start going hard if you can. But as you infringe on that last 5 to 10 years, I'd be inclined to start shying away from big purchases. I'd be on level mode or maintenance mode, especially with your house. Maybe looking at downsizing or have that as part of the plan. Big cars. I talked about it in yesterday's video about, getting rid of an expensive car because A, well, it frees up some cash, and B, it's no longer a financial burden because owning a car like that could be a bit of a draw on my income, right? So a car that's used that needs maintenance and servicing and repairs is going to cost. It's money out of the pocket. Sure, if you have a great car and you have a brand new car and they give you 10 years free maintenance, 10 years free servicing, then you're okay for a while. But my car wasn't, so I had to get it gone. So let's just see. Retired 2019. I was diagnosed last year with an incurable but treatable cancer. Oh, sorry to hear about that. Retired 2019. I am grateful to be in remission. I am grateful every day I wake up. You know what? Again, I'm sorry to hear about that, and it sounds like sounds like you're in a good spot as far as handling it and managing the conditions. So, keep your chin up, keep working forward, keep enjoying day by day. You know, I looked at my mother who didn't have a curable. Like it was, I mean, it started out with she had a few different bouts. Started with I think she had colon cancer, and then it kind of moved, and she had a few other spots. And over the years, she managed with different types of cancers, and it was a tough time. And every time I'd get a call from her randomly, it seemed like every year and a half or something, another year or 2 years down the road, there was some other piece of tragic news. And it's tough, it's hard. But I'll tell you, she was a fighter and a scrapper and a soldier, and she soldiered on and was positive every single day about life and beating it. And she beat it for a long time. She was probably fighting it for 10, 12, maybe more years. And she made the best out of life. I mean, there's a lot of ups and downs, but yeah, stay positive is what I'm going to say. Paulo D. Andre Jr. said, you have great insights. I am fully on board, even with my reality. And super thanks to share your experience and thoughts. Paulo, sorry. You know what? Thanks, Paulo. I do appreciate that. And you know what? I do want to be sincere, and that's why I'm trying to be as authentic as I can. I also don't want to tell people, hey, you've got to retire no matter what. I'm going to say you got to retire no matter what, with certain caveats, right? I mean, life is short. We don't want to waste it sitting in front of a laptop. But its flip side is there's a reality. We have to be prepared. We have to know that there's a foundation, that there's some form of, whether it's, we've got Social Security, a little bit of pension. Are we making ends meet? That's the critical part in this. And that's why I want to be practical in my videos. And I think it's important to not just give the best case scenario and in a perfect world, because it's not a perfect world. And there's a lot of weird nuances and inflation and taxation, and we don't know what's going to happen from one year to the next. So there's nothing that predictable. But yeah, I want to offer, my honestly, my journey, my experiences, and I want it to make sense for each and every one of you, because a lot of us deal with the exact same issues. This is a human nature, a human factor thing that we all go through. We all have our crosses to bear, and we just need to find the way to navigate life. So I do appreciate it, Paulo, for sure. Or Wally, I'm doing okay. Hoping no more surgeries. I steered my son towards mechanical trade. He is a union electrician. Absolutely. Those are all great trades, 100%. Juan Perez, hey, Mark, I'm looking to retire at 55. I like listening to your advice on retiring early and not giving everything to your job. You know what? 100%, Juan. And I've said this before too, like in my videos, I've always given 182% to my job when I'm in the job. What I did realize, unfortunately, it doesn't reward that, especially in corporate America. Giving everything, blood, sweat, and tears, working, burning the candle on both ends, burning the midnight oil, doing those projects on the weekends and the evenings. Does it buy you time? Maybe become the manager's pet for a while. It just didn't really do much for me. And I put in all that time. Do those things. You want to be in the good books. If you're working, I always do believe doing a job well is, if you're going to do a job, do it well. And I truly believe that. Work hard. But at the same token, make sure that you're looking after yourself and don't compromise your personal life. That's the biggest message in this. You've got to maintain your work-life balance. And if anybody at your job is going to call you out for not, then that's clear a place that they don't have your best interests in mind. And I've seen it. I've lived it. I lived it big time. So work-life balance, work hard when you're there, but when it's home time, man, taillights and dust. Trust me. Wink, wink. A buddy of mine named Tony, he taught me that. JJ retired in August 63. So happy. Awesome. Congrats on that one. Healthcare. Luke Lacassi says, you betcha. Rackman says Freedom 55 here, and that's super. Pablo Hernandez, every day is present, retired at retired 2019. Retired 2019 sounds like your mom was an amazing woman. Thank you for creating this channel. You betcha. Thank you so much, retired 2019. You betcha. And yeah, like I said, stay strong. And she was amazing. She was always there for us. We were close. Was an amazing woman, strong fighter. Same thing, farming background. Just knew what it meant to work hard and just was family oriented and just had all the right attributes. So 100%. Nothing but positive stuff to say there. Let's just see. Rich Fong. Sorry, apologize. My screen's a little funky here. It's a little bit of a mess. I probably should upgrade my screen. It's a little bit it's getting a little blurry, or maybe it's the eyes here. Hey, we're 54 now, right? The eyes aren't quite what they used to be. Rick Fong says, I also retired at 53. I still miss working, mainly because of the interactions with people and having a feeling of purpose. It's been 4 years now, and I still think I'm going through a process. A mindset and being comfortable with not chasing big goals and feeling good with high achievements. Rich, I get it. We've all been there. We've all had those accolades. We feel good about having those projects and those deliverables, feeling good about being productive. And we've all had that, and it is hard. And depending on your career, and obviously it sounds like you're a little more attached to, what you were doing, but it's not as easy as just letting go. And some people do struggle with that, right? Having that, connecting themselves with what they were, that title, right? Were you a doctor? Were you a lawyer? Those things sometimes stick, and they stick hard because you invest a lot of time and you put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in those efforts. Whether you're working for 30, 35, 40 years, a lot of times you put a lot into it. A lot of these careers, you put 5 to 10 years in school, and then you put another 30 years of work. It's a lot. And that's what you do. And a lot of people say you spend more time with your coworkers than you do with your wife and your husbands and kids. And so you generally do start to sort of amalgamate, and you start to become kind of one with that space. So it's easier said than done. And I agree. I know what you mean. I feel for you. But for me, for the level of productivity, I'm done. I'm not washing myself of, I'll have somebody, hey, Mark, can you come and help me with this electrical installation? I got this issue here in my garage. I'm like, I threw my tools away. I don't even know how to do all that. What is electrical? I'm a plumber by trade now. No, I just kidding, of course. Of course, I help people I know on that, but I kind of shy away from that work now. To feel productive now, buy a car, do maintenance. I gotta, do a little work here on a couple cars here coming up. I just did on my truck. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I did a brake job. I just did a wheel bearing last week on it. It was starting to squeak. I put some fender flares on it. I do a cleanup on it. If it's not that, then my wife's car, I'm doing a little maintenance on that. My daughter's car, I just did brakes on the one daughter's car, and I'm going to be doing a set of brakes on my other daughter's car. So to me now, that's my level of productivity, is getting stuff done. That, see, if you have a job and your car breaks, you all of a sudden say to yourself, you know what, why would I fix my car? I can make more money on my job. So you take your car, you drop it off the mechanics, and you go to do your job, and you earn your money. And then you come back at the end of the day, the mechanic says you owe us $1,200 for that brake job, and you pay it, and that comes out of the money you just earned. Okay, so I'm not making that money now at the career, but I'm now not paying the mechanic to do that either. I'm doing a lot of that work myself. So it's just a trade-off, and you're just sort of flipping, flopping, and finding other ways to be productive, as well as saving some money. So but anyway, you know what? I just wanted to stop in here, and I think I'm going to call it here, everybody. I do appreciate everybody stopping in. It's been about 45 minutes now. Thank you so much, everyone. If you have any great ideas, please do drop a line. I'd love to hear it even in my daily videos, if you have any ideas of content that you'd like to see. But I do plan to expand and get more into life in general, and not just exclusively retirement, because I believe it affects all of us, whether you're retired or not retired. Money matters, politics, cars and homes and lifestyle. The fact that McDonald's makes the worst food that they've ever made, in my own opinion, and that their prices have gone through the roof. That's what we're talking about. Michael had that conversation the other day, and I found it cute. I like it. It's true. It's practical, and it makes sense for all of us. But anyway, Pablo, thank you. Retired 2019. I teach primary grade school, and I burned out. Well, see if I get back to full-time teaching, but I had a bad boss experience. I'm looking for better, I guess, now. Yeah, you know what? We all have those, and that's all it takes, right? You don't quit the job, you quit the boss. That's what they say. So anyway, thanks again, everybody. Hope you have an absolute wonderful weekend, and we'll catch you all on the flip side. We'll see you Monday morning at the next Walk and Talk. See you then. Bye-bye.